Hi guys, so in this video we are going to change the invader speed um, because in the original game I didn't do this in the movement video, so I'm going to do a separate video just for this. And what happens in the original game is that the speed of the invaders, of the movement of the invaders, increases as we are destroying the invaders, which means that the invaders will move quickly or quicker, the invaders move quicker as they are becoming less and lesser. So we need to do that because right now the speed is always constant. And another thing that we are going to add in this video is that we are going to add not the background music in terms, it is like the movement, the invader movement music that has like a distinct beat, and the beat also increases, I mean the speed of the music also increases when we are destroying the invader. So the speed of the music increases with the invader speed. And we'll do that in this video. So right now we have on our invaders, we have a variable called invader speed. And we are using this variable basically to move the invaders by changing the X position. And we are inverting the value of this variable each time the invaders reach the edge of the screen. So what we need to do is change the value of this variable every time we kill an invader. So when we destroy an invader, we need to increase this variable. And to find out how much we are going to increase the variable, we need to do some math, really simple, but we need to do some math to understand how much we can increase this variable, or how much do we increase every time we destroy an invader. To be honest, in the original game, I don't know what is the math that they do to increase the speed. I don't know what is the max speed that they use, or how they increase it. I don't know if they increase every time you destroy an invader, if they increase every time you destroy a couple of invaders or an X number of invaders. I'm not sure. But here, what we are going to do is that we are going to increase the speed a little bit every time we destroy an invader. So the first thing that we need to do is find out what is the max speed that we want when we have one invader left. Because right now we are using the speed with the value of 1 when they start, and we need to understand what is the max speed because we cannot be increasing the speed forever. So let's just try. Oh, I'm not going to start this. We need to change, and a speed that I think it's okay to have as a max speed. And remember that this is the speed that the invader will have when we only have one left, is probably 8, which I think is probably a little bit too high, but we'll see. So this is the max speed that the invader can have. Probably we can use a smaller number like 5 to have like the max speed. Let's see. No, we'll go with 8, yeah. And then we'll change if we see it's too difficult to finish the game. And so now I'm going to change back to 1. And so now that we know, okay, the invader speed starts with a value of 1 and can increase to the max of 8. So now with this value, now that we know that the max speed is 8, we can get the value that we need to increment every time we destroy an invader, because we know that we have 55 invaders. And so to get the value of the speed increment that we want to do every time we destroy one invader is basically dividing 8 by the total number of invaders. In this case, we are not going to be dividing by the total number, but instead by 54, so that the last invader is actually the one with the speed equal to 8. So if we divide, let me open a calculator. So if we divide 8 by 54, so the total number of invaders minus 1, we have an increment of 0.148. And this is the value that we are going to use to increment the invader speed every time we destroy a single invader. And we already have the place where we are destroying the invaders, which is on this set of blocks. And we know that we destroy invaders here. So this is the block that actually destroys the clone. So we can just change, before deleting the clone, we can just change the invader speed by 0.148. And now it will increase the speed of the invader, just to see if it's working. And I'm just going to show you why it's not working, because I know it's not working because we made a mistake, but I want to show you why. So let's just change the speed by 5, which will be like the invader will be moving really quick. And if we try to run this now and kill an invader, you see that nothing happens. And why is that? That is because we are changing the invader speed and we are deleting the clone afterwards. And we made a mistake, I made a mistake on the previous video, because we created the invader speed as a variable available only for this sprite and not as a global variable. You know, like when you make a variable, have like a variable for all sprites or for this sprite only. When we create the invader speed, which in a sense at the time made sense for me at least, because like, okay, I don't need to use the invader speed anywhere else, so I'm just going to create invader speed for this sprite. What I didn't remember is that when we create a variable for a single sprite only, it means, and you are cloning that variable, it means that each clone has its individual variable. So right now what we are doing here is that we are changing the invader speed, that's correct, but we are changing the invader speed only of the clone that's being destroyed. And since we destroy the clone right after it, we can see that change. So just to show you, if we do not delete the clone when we change the invader speed, and we run the game, let me kill someone, you see, so we killed that invader, it changed to the explosion costume, we didn't delete it, so you see, we actually changed the speed of that invader, but only that one. All the other ones keep with the original speed value that they had at the beginning, so all the other ones continue with the invader speed equal to 1. So here we could do 2 different things. Okay, not by 5, so we know that it's 14.8. Here we could solve this by making 2 different things. One way was to keep the invader speed as individual for each clone, and when we destroy an invader, we need to warn all the clones. We need to tell all the clones, okay, so guys, you need to increase the speed, just like we do with the invert direction. So we would need to use a message, so we need to broadcast a message to everyone so that we know that they need to change their speed. But I think that brings a lot more complexity than we actually need, because in a way, if we make the invader speed as a variable for all sprites, it means that all the clones are sharing that one variable. So all the clones are moving according to the value of that variable. And if we change the invader speed to be a global, let's call it global variable. A global variable, when I say global variable, it means that a variable that is available for all the sprites. So if we change invader speed to a global variable, then all the clones are using that shared variable, and if we change that value, everyone will change the speed that they are using. So we need to change the invader speed to be a global variable. But unfortunately, Scratch doesn't have a way to change the type of variable, which would be a nice feature for them to have, because I made a mistake. This variable is a private one, let's call it private one, or a single variable for a single sprite, and I want to make it a global, and I can't easily do it. So what we have to do is to delete the variable and then create a new one and replace the variable where we are using it. But here we need to be careful, because if we delete the variable, which is being used in some parts of our code, what will happen is that the blocks that are using the variable, and I'm not sure if it's the entire block or just the containing block of that variable, disappears. Which is not the best way to deal with this. I mean, when they implemented this, they could just like make something like an annotation or something like that. Okay, you delete the variable that it was being used here, so you need to change this. That's why not working. Just deleting the blocks, it doesn't work that well, because you need to remember what you had on what blocks were used, the variable. I know that it warns us that it's being used in five different places, but then again, it doesn't help a lot. It only helps like, okay, I'm using this variable, so I can't delete it. Okay, I understand that, but I don't know where I'm using it. So we won't be deleting the variable. What we'll make is we rename this variable. Let's wait. Invader speed underscore old. So you see that all the references to that variable were updated. We'll create a new one, in this case for all sprites, and we'll call it invader speed. And then we are going to search, and this is a manual process, of course, we are going to search where we are using the invader speed old, and we are going to replace it by the new one. So I know that I'm using here, invader speed. Here on this type of blocks, you can press the right click to change the variable. Here, not invader speed and invader speed. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, these were the 5 uses that we were having with the invader speed variable. And now you can go to the invader speed old and just delete the variable. And now let's just change this back to 5 so we can test it and see if it's working. Yep. So right now they are all sharing the invader speed variable. We destroy one invader, it increments the invader speed, and all of them are using that speed, so it works as expected. So now let's change the increment to 0.148. That's the amount of increase that we want. And let's see. It's not noticeable, but probably if we keep destroying invaders, eventually we'll see that the speed is actually increasing. But now we still have one thing to make, which is, and let me show you once again, by 5. So we saw that if we decrease, it just increases. That's correct. But what we didn't account for, what happened here? It's probably because it's really fast, and when it reaches the edge. Okay. I was not expecting this, as you can see. So what happens is that it was really fast, but we used the 5 before and it was working. Okay, so I'm not going to show you. Oh yeah, I can show you. If we put -1, which means that the invaders are actually moving to the left. Now I can show you. If we kill an invader, I don't know why this happens. Oh yeah, in this case it increased. Yeah, in this case it increased a lot. I mean, what I wanted to show you, sorry guys, but what I wanted to show you, I thought in my head this would work okay. That's the usual way these things work. What I wanted to show you is that we can't always increment the variable speed. And why is that? Because we are inverting the invader speed when we touch the edge, which means that when the invaders are moving to the right, they have a positive value. The invader speed has a positive value. In this case, it is a value of 1. But when they are moving left, they have a negative value, which is -1. And if we are always changing the invader speed by 0.48, and when they say change, it means that we are incrementing the value. We are summing the value 14.48 to the invader speed. It only works when the invaders are moving to the right, because we have a positive value, we increment that 0.148, so the speed increases. But when they are moving left, if we sum a positive value, it will actually decrease the invader speed. And that was what I wanted to show you before, but now I explained without the example. So what we need to do here is that when, I'm going to take this, when the invaders are moving to the right, we can change invader speed by 0.148. When they are moving to the left, we need to change by -0.148. That's what we need to do. So how do we know that the invaders are moving to the right? We know that the invaders are moving to the right when their speed is greater than 0, because they have a positive number. So, not an if block, sorry, I added an if block, but an if else block. This is the one that we want. This is at the end. And now the condition that we want is that when the invader speed is greater than 0, which means that they are moving to the right. The speed has a positive number, and we're going to drag the invader speed here. We increase or we change the value by 0.14.8. Otherwise, else, which means that invader speed is less than 0, meaning that the invaders are moving to the left, we change invader speed by the negative value. And so let me just see if we change by 1 and -1, so that we can see that it's actually working. Yeah, increase a little bit and a little bit, yeah. And we have a big problem now. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Okay, I'm going to have to check why this is happening. Oh, I know why this is happening. I know why this is happening, yeah. Sorry, guys. I didn't test this through before, so yeah. I know why this is happening. This is happening because we set the invader speed as a global variable. What this means is that when we call the invert direction, what this is doing is that we are calling this to all the clones. So all the clones are actually inverting the invader speed, which means that the first clone that receives the message, when we broadcast the message, the first clone that receives the message, it inverts the speed. Then the other one inverts again and again and again. And what this happens is that while we are doing this, invaders that supposedly should be moving away from the edge are actually continue moving to the edge, and they all start again doing the same process. And so that's why this whole crazy thing happens. So we are calling this invert direction a lot of times, and they are moving, changing y by -14. So that's why they go down. So we need to fix this, and we can fix it basically because doing this. I mean, we call the invert direction to change y by -14, which that's because we need each invader to know that they need to shift down a row. But we can change the invader, instead of changing inverting the invader speed inside the message, the listener for the message, we can just change it before broadcasting the invert direction. And in this case, invert direction doesn't make any sense anymore. I don't know if we can just rename it. Okay, we can't rename it. I don't know why. But so we will create. I don't want to keep that message because it doesn't make sense anymore. We are not inverting direction. What we are doing is shifting the invaders down. So shift down. Shift down when I receive shift down, and here shift down. And let's see. No. And let's change this again. So 1 and -1. So we can see the difference. And now, yep. And now it's perfect. Yeah, sorry, I didn't test this, and in my head was all working perfectly fine. So now you see what a debugging process looks like. And this is it in terms of changing the speed of the invaders. So shift down, okay, that's all correct. Maybe we should have left the speed as a variable for single sprites, but then again, it doesn't make sense because we have to make sure that all clones are using the same invader speed or updating the value, and we don't need that each clone has their own value because the value is shared by everyone. So this makes more sense. So it was the initial mistake that led to this. So first thing, it's done. So we changed the invader speed. We are updating the invader speed. Oh, and don't forget to put this back to 0.14.8 and -0.14.8. Now, what we are going to do is to add let's call it the background music, or the music that the invaders have when they are moving. And so the first thing that we are going to do is to import the sounds. In case of the sounds that I chose for this effect, we we had like two different ways to do this. We could have like a music with all the beats that we are using, will be using. So we have this beat and this one and this one and this one. We could have just like a music with all these beats one after the other, and we'll just change the speed of the music. But instead I chose to separate the beats, and actually these are the sounds from the package, are the force field sounds. So are the force field 0 to the number 3. I didn't use number 4, only 0, 1, 2, and 3. And what we are going to do is that we are going to import all the sounds, and we are going to play the sounds one after the other, adding some time delay between the sounds, and as we are increasing the speed, we will be decreasing the time delay. So let me show you what we are going to do. So on the invaders, on the sounds, we can import all those sounds that we have there. So sounds, bit 1 to 4. Okay, now I have all of them here. I'm gonna put them softer. And I'm gonna be honest, the result of these sounds is really annoying, but I couldn't find any other sounds to use it, and I already had that pack of sounds, so this was the best I could do at the time, so you just go with it. You can choose some other sounds to make this a little bit better. So now we have the 4 beats of the sounds, and now we can use those 4 beats here in our game. And this is another important thing, once again, related to having a sprite and clones of that sprite. We want to play the sounds when the invaders start moving, and the invaders start moving when they receive the start message. This one here, I'm going to change this. Sorry, I'm going to change this here and this here. So the invaders start moving when they receive the start message. That's when we want to play the sound. So it would make sense or to add a new when I receive start message, or to play the sounds inside this forever block. But we have a problem once again, that since we are duplicating this sprite, we are instantiating clones of this sprite. If we implement when I receive start, it means that all the clones will receive this message, and then all the clones would be playing the sound. And while for the game it doesn't make any difference, because all the sound would be in sync, and so it will be okay, in terms of efficiency, it's not a very efficient solution. So what we want is that the original sprite of the invaders that we are not using, we are just using it to instantiate all the other ones, will be the only one playing the sound. And since we want to play the sound after the invaders start moving, we can play the sound after broadcasting the start message. So after the start message, we can add a forever block right here, and now we can add the sound. And the sound, so let's just say play sound not until done. Let's just say start sound. I'm gonna add all of them just to see how it sounds like, and then we'll change what we need. So bit 1, bit 2. Oh, this is going to be really confusing, because probably it's going to play all the sounds in one go. Yeah, I think you can hear it, but what's happening here is that since we are not playing until done, and it is inside a forever block, it's playing the 4 sounds at the same time and just repeating this. So what we want to do here is to add a wait seconds in between. Let's wait seconds, another one here, and another one here. 1 second is probably too much, but let's see. Okay, yeah. That's what we want. Okay. Like I said, once again, it's really annoying, but we're just gonna go with it. So we have the wait seconds. Oh, and I forgot to put a wait seconds also at the bottom. That's why it was strange. The last one was strange. Yeah, this is it. So we're going to start with this time delay, so 1 second. And what we want to do now is when we increase the speed, we are going to decrease the time delay. so it plays faster. And just like we did with the invader speed, so that we found the increment that we want to apply every time we destroy an invader, we need to find what is in this case, the decrement, I mean the value that we want to decrement from the delay that we are using each time we destroy an invader. So we need to, in order to increase the speed, we need to decrease the time delay between the bits. So the first thing that we need, you see that we are using the value 1 in all these blocks, so what we need here is a variable. And in this case, we need to create a variable, and we're going to create a variable for all sprites, because this is not... sorry, now I'm thinking if it makes sense to be for all sprites or for this sprite only, because this variable will only be used in the original sprite, but will be changed by individual sprites. No, this is a good question, sorry. This is a good question, because I don't know if we create a variable for this sprite only, but we are using it. No, we need to create for all sprites, sorry. We need to create for all sprites, and why is that? Because if we create a variable for this sprite only, would mean that the original sprite and all the clones would have a bit delay, which is we're going to call it. So you know, we're going to call it bit delay. Not only the original sprite, but all the clones would have the bit delay, an individual bit delay for each one of them. And so what would happen is that when a clone would change, the bit delay variable would change its own, which is not being used anywhere because the original sprite is using its own. So we wouldn't see any difference. So we need to use a bit delay for all sprites, just like we did with the invader speed. And now before this starts, we're going to set bit delay to 1, and we're going to use bit delay on all of these blocks. And now we have a single place where we can change it. So if we change the value of bit delay, it's going to change everywhere. And now, just like we did with the movement, we need to find, in this case, not the max value, but the mean value that we can have on the bit delay to play the sounds. So we know that 0 it doesn't work because you're going to play the sounds all together. So let's play like 0.1 just to see. No, 0.1, maybe it's too low, 0.5. Yeah, a little bit better, maybe we can go lower. Oh, okay, yeah, 0.25. I think this is perfect because when you have the invader with that crazy movement, that crazy speed, I think this is a good delay to use. So we know that the mean value is 0.25. So we need to decrement this value from 1 to 0.25, which means that we need, in total, we need to decrement 0.75. And we need to decrement 0.75 throughout the 54 invaders. So, just like we did before, we need to see what is the decrement. We need to see what is the decrement that we are going to use. So we are going to divide 0.75 by the 54 invaders that we want. So we are going to be decrementing the bit delay by 0.013. Let's round this, 0.0139. So this is what we are going to use, and we are going to do that here. So when the invader is destroyed, and after changing the speed, we'll actually change the bit delay by minus 0.0, what was the number? 0.0139. And this is it. I mean, we are killing the invaders, the speed, we are incrementing the speed, and we are decreasing the bit delay. So the invaders start moving faster, and the music starts playing faster as well. Let's just see. Probably won't see any difference. But I forgot to put here, 0.1. 0.1, no, 1. it's increasing the speed. Yeah. We need to test to kill a lot of destroy a lot of invaders to actually see this happening, because maybe after half of the invader we can actually see some differences. And we can also, if it's not enough, we can just change these values to be a little bit better for what we want. But this is the process. So find the max value that you want, to find the increment, and find the mean value that you want for the bit delay, to find the decrement for the variable. And this is it. I mean, this is what I wanted to show you guys. So now we are updating the speed and the music when the invaders are being destroyed, which was the whole goal of this video. So this is it. So I'll see you in the next video. I mean, in the next video, what we are going to do is to make the invaders shoot missiles down to the player, which is something that they do in the original game. So the invaders randomly shoot missiles to the player. We have different types of missiles, and we need to choose a random invader to shoot the missile from. So that's what we are going to be doing on the next video. So see you there. Thanks.